Hi, and welcome back to Lecture 15 of the course Agricultural and Biosystems Structures Engineering. And we'll be talking about different AB structures not covered in animal housing and the greenhouses. Uh, the focus will be on the different structures that are most importantly in support to the production operations of a farm. uh, and they come in variations depending on the industry and the animals and the crops that are being tended to by the farming operations. So let's talk about first animals. And animals, they would fall into either um, ruminants or the swine. And likewise, you have also um, your fowl. So the fowl could be still got divided into various categories from the poultry, okay, from poultry to turkey to broiler, broiler poultry, and then um, layer poultry. And so these are actually very uh, extensive in literature. So the discussion will focus on those that have standards already as adopted by the either the Philippine national standards or the Philippine agricultural and biosystems engineering standards. So first off in the animal categories, the feedlot, and this could either be in the carabao or the cattle. Next is the cattle ranch. And then for layrage, okay, this is the area where the animals are um, kept or in storage before slaughter. So there are two for swine and then the ruminants. And then for the processing, focus will be on the slaughterhouse, okay, for animals, for livestock, in particular, and then your dressing plant for your fowls. And then next is the milking parlor for milk production. Under crops, there are only two. That is for the storage of fruit and vegetable, and the primary processing of fruit and vegetables. The reason for only these two are categorized under this is because the discussion for warehouse for grains is under the next topic. So in the next lecture, discussion will focus on the common structures, and uh, the warehouse falls under common structures because they are the warehouse containing the grains could be used to feed the animals, or they could be for storage of the grains for selling, okay, for farm gate selling, or for distribution by a seller outside the farm. Now, okay, so the first topic is going to be on feedlot. Okay, let me just share my screen, right? Okay, where is that? Uh-huh. This is, I think, the last 418. All right, so this is going to be on, okay, the Icarabo feedlot. This is um, with the tag PAS 408, drafted or established in 2001, or yeah, adopted in 2001. So the for definitions, okay, a feedlot is for feeding the carabao so that it is fattened, and it involves also all the physical facilities inside the feedlot. And for those who are probably not knowing of the carabao, okay, this is the term used to refer to the water buffalo in the Philippines. It's endemic to the Philippines, right? So the location, okay, Again, the word shall is indicative of a provision or a standard that should be followed. So the location shall conform to the land use of the area. Unfortunately, in the Philippines, there's a uh, there's no law on the land use still, although certain areas such as cities and municipalities could adopt their own. Okay, and so if in general, okay, if it's going to be a farm, the farm should be located in an agricultural location. Now the site shall be accessible to service roads, okay, water supply and electric lines. Well, because it's going to be operated with the use of such utilities. Now the site shall be well drained and allows for free air circulation. That's very uh, um, self-explanatory. Okay, the building shall be constructed in an east-west orientation, and the structure for marketable animals shall be located near the service road. The orientation in an east-west orientation is for the to limit the contact of the solar radiation coming from the sun during hot days. Thus, this would limit the thermal load. Although, okay, this course still this forgoes the topic on thermal loads. It's another subject called engineering. No, environmental control engineering. Thus, okay, just to elaborate on it, okay, the east-west orientation is with regards to this concern, and also the site shall be located where the prevailing winds will not carry odors to the farmhouse. This is a concern in most growing facilities for animals because unlike in conventional housing, such as for example this feedlot, the animals would be smelly, or the place would be smelly due to urine and feces. So it is best to avoid the prevailing winds. Thus, it should be considered in the design or the location of such building. Now, the minimum space shall be 4 meters squared per animal. And well, for the floor, if it's earth, and then the slope should be only 4 to 7%, while the concrete shall be okay, skid resistant, or it's uh, not slippery. And the thickness shall be 76 millimeters with a 2 to 4% slope. And for the roofing, okay, there should be adequate roofing to prevent heating from the sun, particularly on summer or the hot or dry season. Okay, the roof slope shall not be less than 25%, and if it's made of indigenous materials, the minimum roof slope shall be 58%. Minimum, okay, take note of that. Minimum height of the top of the roof beam shall be 2.5 meters from the floor. Yeah, so a high clearance allowing for air to circulate in the location. Now, pen walling, okay, in post is shown on in figure 1. Okay. Well, this is to accommodate the large size carabaos, and so please do take note of the dimensions. The dimensions of the posts and the pen are also provided, such as this one. Pen shall be 1.2 to 1.5 meters high, and fittings and internal surfaces shall be free from sharp edges to protect the animals from injury, okay, and also to avoid accidents. Okay, paints are to be non-toxic. Okay, the pen size. Okay, this is now for the functional requirements of the structure. For the building. Okay, adequate required trough length for the number and size of carabaos feeding in the pen. Okay, again 4 meters per 4 meters squared per animal per animal, okay, per carabao. And the feeding trough shall be placed in front of the pen. This is for easy feeding of the animals. Please do take note that this should be looking like this. So this is the top view Okay, this is where the animals, one animal should be going in to feed, and this is the feeding trough. Okay, and so this is the side view of that. Now, let's go back to the other facilities inside the uh, the structure or building. And so there is also water. Okay, so a water facility. It's called the water trough. Should also be made of. Oh no, when it says should, okay, it's recommendatory. Well, it does not it is not in favor of the material indicated, but it is the best out there. Well, because it is recommendatory, and should be shaped cylindrically or trapezoidal. Okay, take note of the coving on the sides to avoid, uh, well, for easy cleaning, okay, of the trough. Okay, the water troughs shall be provided with concrete or gravel packed aprons to improve sanitation and keep the water clean. If the pen has an earth floor, if it's made of earthen floor, okay, because okay, the water could spill over and then cause, well, could cause puddling and create or make the floor messy or muddy. Okay? And there's a minimum length for the apron, okay, which is 1.5 meters. And then the open water tank space shall be at least 0.3 meters for every 10 heads. Again, this is a fattening um, structure or building for animals. So, well, the drinking should be minimized. I mean, this is the animal should be feeding and well, not necessarily drinking all the time. Okay, cooling facilities is required. If ever, there should be a sprinkler, and following the sprinkler should be designed such as it follows the plumbing regulations of the National Plumbing Code of the Philippines. A plumber should be consulted with regards to this. Lighting, okay, the housing shall be provided with lighting intensity of 200 lux. Oh, sorry. You can consult a plumber, but the engineer should be already be um, well familiar of or could install it. It's his the sprinkler himself, right? So the housing lighting intensity should be 200 lux. Okay, this I think depends on the So it depends on the bulb. Okay, please do take note of this requirements if ever. Okay, so the number of bulbs as required is as shown based on the type of lamp, okay, incandescent or fluorescent, and the wattage that well the discrete values of the wattages of these lamps. All right, let's proceed to the loading chute. Okay, again, this is a temporary facility for fattening animals. Thus, a loading chute is required, and a catwalk should be provided. Okay, okay, for the handler. Okay, for allowing the easy loading of the carabao. The loading ramp is also required, and this is the loading ramp for the different vehicles that could be used in the handling of the animals. So it depends if it's a pickup truck or a van type truck or a tractor trailer or a double deck kind of facility. Not a vehicle. Okay, and then there's a okay, there should be cross buttons to allow or prevent slipping of the animals, and then should have a slope of 30% in that ramp, and then the slope of the Permanent installed ramp should not exceed 36%, but for portable or adjustable loading chute, the slope should be below 47%. Okay. Some would have stair-stepped concrete ramps, but each step should have a 90 to 100 millimeters and rise and 300 millimeter tread width. And the step surface should be roughened enough. Again, to facilitate or to avoid injuries or accidents to the animals. A passage is required and elevated with a width of 3 meters if the vehicles are allowed to enter within the building of the facility. Okay, and okay, you could have a weighing scale for weighing of animals if ever needed, because again, this is a fattening uh, uh, fattening facility. The gutter for drainage shall have a minimum width of 0.46 millimeters and a minimum depth of 0.2 meters. The feed storage, okay, for feedstock, because again, this is a fattening facility, may be uh, containing different kinds of feedstuff from hay, grain, okay, mineral salt, and thus should be protected from pests and but protected from the elements to avoid spoilage or spoilage. And well, this standard recalls the or takes notes of the waste management uh, standard numbered 414 of 2002. Okay, so in the next we have the feedlot for cattle. They are well, if you want to look at this in terms of structure and components, they or this is consistent with that of the one for carabaos, but this takes note in consideration the size of the animal and the types of or the size of the animals, from the bulls, okay, from to the calf and to the cow and to the heifer. And thus, okay, there are differences, particularly in the size of for example, of this slotted pen wall. Please take note that the cow may be smaller than the carabao in dimensions, okay, as an animal. Thus, the slotted pen wall is smaller. I think this is 1.5 meters smaller than for the carabao feedlot. But in terms of the other standards, they are very much the same. For example, the post, okay, with concrete protectors still at the protectors are still 150 millimeters high, and then the pens are still 1.2 to 1.5 millimeters high. Similar, so there's a feeding trough and a water trough, almost the same. Yeah, the same in the water tank is smaller, okay, compared to the carabao feedlot, but for the lighting still the same. There's a difference to the I think the dimensions of the feeding trough. Okay, this is smaller in height or shorter in height and smaller in diameters in dimensions along the width of the trough and the height as well. But for the others, okay, they are very much the same. So let's proceed now to the next building or structure. And this is a cattle ranch. Okay, please do take note of the structure of a cattle ranch. Here it is. Okay, there is a the animals go uh, in here, right? So again, this is a cattle ranch, and an animal would be still uh, well located in a place, or well, the animal is only brought here for feeding, okay? So that this actually mimics the natural grazing habitat of the animals. So the animals are brought in, okay, to the structure via the loading uh, chute, right? So they go to the gates, and then they are crowded over here, and then uh, proceeded to the, or directed towards the holding pens where they are fed. Okay. Now let's go to the different structures of this um, ranch. Okay. So sorry, maybe a confession with what I said, right? So the animals are grazed outside the structure, and then when they are uh, well, they are herded towards this ranch, okay, so that they are uh, well, they are going to be uh, um, taken from this location to the animal shed where they are supposed to stay in during the night, for example. So so you have here, right, the definition of the terms now. The holding pen to confine the animals from the pasture, and the crowding pen, okay, to funnel the cattle into the working chute. And the chute, the working chute is to so the holding chute is where the animals are restrained, and the holding chute is to load the cattle from the working chute or the crowding pen to a vehicle where they are now to be transported to a different location. Again, location specifications should be following the land use plan of the area, and area should be gently rolling, elevated, and well drained. Again, this is a structure, and the slope should be not more than shall not be more than 58%. Okay, steep areas are to be avoided or fenced out to avoid animal um, incidences such as accidents. Now, the coral fence should be 50 millimeters by 100 millimeters in dimensions. Uh, these are the planks, right? So these are the planks to be used in the coral fence. These are the boards being identified here in the sentence. And then you have uh, 4 to 5 100 millimeter rails attached to the inner part of the post. Okay, those are the boards. Okay, 4 to 5 of them should be attached to the rails. This is to contain the animals and avoid them from going out. And then you have here the identification of the different the fencing requirements shall be 1.7 to 1.8 meters. And thus the post should be 150 millimeters to 200 millimeters in diameters, and should be set at least 750 millimeters into the ground. And the maximum spacing shall be 2.5 millimeters. An access alley shall be provided to bring the cattle from a pen or pasture to the holding pen. It shall be at least 3 meters wide and laid out to provide a desired traffic flow. And now for the holding pen, okay, depending on the number of the or no, the weight of the animals. Okay, and the space requirement is identified. Again, the sizing based on the weight is because the cattle are supposed to be homogeneous in size, if ever. Okay, because this is a large scale operations of um, animal uh, growing. The crowding pen, okay, this is as shown. This is a funnel type crowding pen. Shall have a radius of at least 3 meters. Okay, and equipped with solid crowding gate. Okay, this is a crowding gate. So there are two types. No, you have your funnel shaped crowding pen and then the circular crowding pen as shown. And then there is the minimum space requirement for the crowding pen, depending on the size again of the animal. Okay, 0.5 or up to 270 kilos calves. Then you have over 540, which is 1.1 meters squared. The crowding pen shall have a solid walling, and the spacing of the post is 1.2 to 1.8 meters, and the height of the solid wall shall be 1 to 1.5 meters. So working chute, okay. Also solid sided and provided with docking gates, constructed at the entrance and exit of the working chute. Okay. Gates should be constructed either with grills or solid side. Okay. This is the design of a working chute in the different views, the top view and the side view. Again, the recommendatory values for the height and the height of the wall and the top rails, okay, as provided. And you have the post, okay, it also recommendatory in terms of dimensions and the depth into the ground. Okay. Now for the working chute, okay, could be curved, C or S shaped with a maximum curve angle of 15 degrees or an offset of 30 degrees maximum. Okay, please see the types of the chute, either tapered or straight. And then for those with sloping sides or tapered, okay, the width should be the width and the length is dependent on the weight of the animals. Thus, please use a table to determine the dimensions of the chute. Or if ever, this could be fixed if ever the animals are still growing from the calf, from sizes of the calf to full-grown cows or cattle. And then you have here the holding chute, depending again on the weights of the animals. Okay, the height, the width, and the length are also variable. Now for the loading chute, this should facilitate the movement of the animals from the pasture, from the corral area to the trucks, and thus there's a ramp that is required depending on the vehicle, for a gooseneck trailer, for a pickup truck, for a van type truck, okay, for a tractor trailer, and also for double decks. The double decks at 2.5 meters height. Okay. Recommendatory provisions on the catwalk, okay, provided for the handler, and then you have a loading ramp. Again, similar to what was stated in the feedlot, okay, cross buttons at or every 0.2 meters. And okay, if stair stepped, okay, you have the same concrete ramps. And uh, which are roughened. Okay. Facilities, if foot bath is required for biosecurity, this is 4.5 meters by 0.25 to 0.3 meters deep. Well, a handler or an operator working inside this location should be wearing boots, okay, to use for the foot baths. The floor of the foot bath should be studded. Okay, this is recommendatory with hard stones set into the concrete to provide grip and to splay the hoofs apart to loosen any mud in between. Okay, this is for the animals. No? It's for the safety of the animals as well. Should be provided with overflow outlet, and the floor level outlet pipe should be open for cleaning. Okay, so it does not mean that, or it means that there should be a time when the foot bath should be cleaned. There's a weighing scale if ever needed, and a dipping vat. Okay, the vat should be built on one side of the coral system where water supply is abundant and should be near the center of the grazing. The ground for the dip is to be built should be, where the dip is to be built should be slightly sloping and as hard to allow digging. Should be constructed from poured reinforced concrete and should be provided with roofing. Okay. The large numbers of atol to be dipped along single draining race is recommended. Okay. And the side should be sloping towards the channel or gutter which increases the backflow rate. And a silt trap should be provided to prevent the mud from flowing back to the dipping vat. For the feed storage, okay, the feed stuff should be protected from pests and kept protected from the elements. For the fencing, okay, top wire could be used as high as for 1.4 meters. Fence post should be concrete with a minimum dimension. There are other types of different types of materials for fencing. You could use steel, fiberglass, or wood, but here the recommendatory is concrete. Okay, the depth of the post in the shall be 0.75 shall be. Okay, this is mandatory. If the distance between the posts is more than 5 meters, batten shall be used at the intervals between the posts to keep the wire spacing rigid. Smaller staples should be driven in tight to prevent the battens from moving side to side. Battens which are intended to grow should have their tops level with the top of the posts and should have a clearance of 75 millimeters from the ground. And again, the waste disposal should follow the PAS 414. Okay. This is a sample plan view of the coral ranch, okay, with the fencing and the different locations for the holding pen, the crowding area, the working chute, and the loading chute. Okay. Let's proceed now to the layrage. There are two types of layrage that should be discussed. Okay. They are combined here in PAS 410, but divided into two in the PNS or the PNS number 309 and 308. Well, for layrage, the layrage shall be discussed and for both, right? So you have a swine layrage and for ruminants. So the ruminants would include the different hooved animals from cattle to goats and sheep, right? So let's proceed first to the swine. Okay, so these are the definitions. Okay, you have your slaughter. Slaughtering is the process of the processing of the animal into meat, okay, primarily for meat. And so a layrage is required, okay, where the animals are rested prior to slaughter. This could be a layrage within a there could be a layrage inside a farmstead, and also a layrage inside a slaughterhouse facility, because it could well, the slaughterhouse facility could be located outside the premises of a farmstead. which is most the case, because in cities and municipalities, a slaughterhouse or abattoir is required for each, right? So live weight is the weight of the animal, live animal prior to slaughter. Um, the Usually the carcass weight is differentiates to that, okay? Because that is for the slaughtered animal already. So the lineage is for uh, for it's an holding area prior to the slaughter of animals. So it should accommodate vehicles. Okay, so the transport vehicle should be transporting the animals from the lairage area or from the farmstead to the slaughterhouse facility. Okay, you have here the slaughterhouse or abattoir. Okay, this is in the Philippines. This is controlled or regulated by the National Meat Inspection Service. The cities and municipalities which have such a slaughterhouse or abattoir would have a deputized a personnel that handles the checking or the regulation of these slaughterhouses and abattoirs. Deputized meaning they are uh, uh, under the office of the city or the municipality, but okay, given approval by the National Meat Inspection Service. Suspecting animal presented for slaughter showing physical or physiological abnormalities that may lead the authority to pass or condemn, okay, the animal. The animals are actually well, to avoid, okay, wastage um, of food, okay, or feed stuff. The animals are actually uh, fed a certain time only prior to slaughter. So in this kind of, or in this standard, the discussion is on swine. These are referring to hogs, pigs, native pigs, and shoats. But in the next standard, okay, or yeah, the next standard is going to be on ruminants. So the space requirements depends on the weight of the animal, okay, and this is as shown based on the weight. The area should be per head. It should be followed. This should be followed. If it's a generic lineage area, okay, in slaughterhouses, if ever, okay, most often the largest is followed. Okay. Okay, so the lineage shall be constructed at least 10 meters away from the slaughterhouse. And in general, the space requirement should be 0.7 meters squared per swine. Okay. This is for those weighing more than 100 kilograms, and 0.6 meters squared weighing less than 100 kilograms. The pen width should be 2 meters, while the alley width should be at least 1.3 meters. Now, for the parts or the parts of the structure, you have there the loading area, the unloading area, sorry, the loading area, right? The dock and ramp, okay, and then you have the pens and the alleys, okay, to contain the animals while they're waiting for their execution. No, for the slaughter, okay. And you have the chutes. This is to facilitate the movement of the animals. Besides that, the specifications for the flooring, the walls, and the roofing, and the water facilities are also provided. Let's go through them one by one. Let's proceed first to the unloading area where the animals are to be discarded from the transporting vehicle, right? So the area, this is also the area for washing and disinfecting of the vehicles. And there shall be equipment for injured or donors swine to facilitate emergency slaughter. This could happen if there was an accident during the transport of the animals. So the unloading area shall be impervious and properly drained. Okay, and there shall be proper parking for vehicles. Now for the floor ramp, okay, floor ramp extensions on tailgate shall be provided in such a way that there shall be no gap between the truck and the unloading dock. It is the best interest of the slaughterhouse and also the range facility to prevent stress in the animals, as this reduces the quality of the carcass. It is important for in carcass quality that the consumers are provided the best, okay, if ever, right? So well, this ducts and ramps should be avoiding injuries to the animals, okay. Thus the specifications are mostly in the mandatory degree, right? So for example, maximum recommended angle for the ramp should be 20 degrees. No, this is recommendatory, but well, for the others, right, there shall be separate entrance gates or ramps for swine that cannot be unloaded directly to the dock. For single file unloading, the width of the ramp shall be 0.35 to 0.43 meters. And for double file unloading, the width shall be doubled and constructed with a middle partition. There shall be a 0.61 meter catwalk for the human handler at both sides of the dock, right? So if this is the ramp, okay, there's a catwalk for the handler along the sides. The recommended ramp and dock configuration attached to the ridge are the following. You have for the permanent dock, there's the permanent ramp, and then the permanent dock. This is the loading area. If it's a multi-layer rock and dump, this is as shown. You have your permanent dock, and a ramp with a gate. Okay, so the animals converge to the pens, right? To this area. And then you have your permanent dock but adjustable ramp. Okay. This is well, the ramp could be removable or adjustable. When a holding facility is designed, space shall be allocated for specialized functions such as weighing, sorting, washing, or checking animal identification. The number of pens should be sufficient for at least the number of animals to be slaughtered for one day, or for those that are delivered at a time. Different batches or groups of swine should be separated into different pens as shown. In the case of the batches, okay, again, the animals are deemed to be fit for slaughter here. Those that are unfit, so they are removed from the lot. But okay, sometimes it's recommendatory to have the batches in different or in different batches. The animals should be different batches to avoid or to facilitate the easy determination of their sources or the farm sources, which is called the traceability, product traceability. The alley shall have solid sides to facilitate handling as they eliminate visual distractions. All gates and walls shall be uniform. The contrast in color and texture for all gates and walls and lighting shall be avoided. There should be a provision for separate isolation pen for suspected swine or swine requiring further observation. Again, for those that are unfit for slaughter. Let's proceed now to the wall divider separating the animals. Same batch should be a minimum height of 1.2 meters. And for the chute, okay, there shall be a provision for a shower area before entering the chute. This would alleviate actually the stress in the animal. Okay, the width of the chute should be enough to facilitate the forward movement of the swine, but not large enough that will enable backing. So again, the anterior and posterior positions of the animals would limit their movement, unlike in people who are who can rotate easily with a very minimal area or space required The chute for the swine shall be either double or single lane. For the double lane, the inner side should be made of pipes or a see-through partition. And this is to for easy viewing of the handlers. Catwalks shall be provided along the chute, along the side of the chute. So this is for the handlers. And the catwalk and chute shall be roofed and well ventilated. Okay. Again, to avoid stress and then also to protect the people and the animals. Gates located in the chute should be made of expanded metal or closely spaced bars. Now for the construction, for the floors, again, very mandatory, firm, non-slip, acid resistant, and easy to clean and well drained. For material from the chute to the restrainer box shall be of similar color or material to prevent bulking. Swine pens, the floor slope shall not be less than 2%. Okay. The wall divider, made of GI pipes, recommendatory only. Spacing between pipes should be 150 millimeters apart. Design of facility should take into account the protection of the swine from extreme weather conditions. Okay, sharp corners and projections shall be avoided to avoid injuring the animals. Roof shall be designed to provide effective ventilation, and the ceiling height shall be at least 2.4 meters. Watering facilities. This is to give the animals or the swine enough or to avoid their stress, the stress in the animals. Okay. Drinking trough open tank drinking system shall be constructed and positioned in such a way that is accessible, easy to clean, and firmly fixed and shaped. Cannot be readily soiled, and should be located where the possibility of injury to animals is minimized. This is the watercraft as designed and recommended. Okay. In an automatic watering system, a nipple drinker shall be provided for every 10 heads. Okay, they're going to share one nipple drinker. Hydrant points shall be located in all parts of the layrage to provide the water supply facility for cleanup and washing of animals. All water lines in the working area shall be installed overhead and equipped with a hose with a nozzle, and which is extended 1 meter above the finished floor line. There shall be a power wash at the holding pen for cleaning purposes to clean the animals prior to slaughter. Watering device shall be placed in an area where spilled water is easily drained. For lighting, there's a 110 lux requirement, minimum. But for the isolation pens, should be 540 lux because there's the observation of the animal is required. Lighting should be adequate and uniform across the holding pens, ramps, and raised space to avoid animal movement, effective handling, and inspection of livestock. For drainage, this is required for the easy movement of water. Flooring toward the outlet shall have a 2% slope, and Annex B shows the flow diagram. For fences, so made of rust-resistant metal pipes. These are the gates and the fences. To avoid, because there's a lot of water or wet surfaces or wet materials coming into contact with these pipes. Thus, they should be rust resistant. If ever this is made of stainless steel. The outside wall shall be made of concrete, protruding nails, avoided, and similar, bolts, irons. Round pipe post shall have a diameter of at least 63.5 millimeters. The vertical slides, gates, and chute should be counterweighted. The bottom of this gate shall be padded with cut tires or conveyor belting. The gate shall be positioned in a way that will ensure smooth traffic flow. Swine shall enter at one end of the building and leave at another end, as shown in Annex A. Side corridors, if necessary, should be at least 0.6 meters. Storage of records and supplies, because this is going to be a regulated facility. There should be the recording of events in the facility. For example, the weight of the animals, the conditions of the animals, could be possible issues of biosecurity in terms of diseases. Then for the waste disposal, again, the PAS 414 is called into consideration. You have your noise level. This is to avoid stress in the animals. So that is provided in Annex D. This is now the the configuration of the lineage area, okay, showing the pens, okay, from the unloading area. Okay. This is another option, okay, of a design, and another. Oh, sorry, this is for the drainage. This is to facilitate the movement of the water, which is again plenty in this kind of design because the animals are being washed and also provided with water. So most of the times the location is wet. Okay, for noise, okay, the permissible noise is shown in table 2. This is again to minimize the stress on the animals. Okay, so that would be all for swine lairage. For ruminants, okay, this is considering the larger animals, okay, but considering the different kinds of ruminants, the lairage densities are provided in table 1 to select the for the proper selection of the weight of the animals. So from the smaller hoofed animals such as the goats and the sheep, and also for the bigger ones such as cattle and carabaos. Again, similar portions, parts of a lairage area. You have your unloading area, okay, unloading dock and ramp, okay, permanent dock and ramp. Just a difference in the dimensional requirements, but in terms of the degrees, very much the same. Okay, for a permanent dock but adjustable ramp, you have there the same presentation or the schematic. Okay, and then the chutes. Okay, there's a difference for your smaller ruminants and the larger ones. Okay, the catwalk is for the people, okay, to handle the animals or the handlers themselves. For the floor, okay, please do take note of the following differences. The plant floor should either be any of the following: concrete slats oriented perpendicular to the walkway direction without light or reflections from the water under the slab, or a deep 2.5 centimeter V grooves in a 20 centimeter square or diamond pattern in the alley. There's also all angles between the floors and walls shall be concave to a height of at least 7.62 centimeters from the floor. For the different portions, right? So this should follow. For cattle, you have your GI pipes in diameter should be used for the pens, okay, for the post. Okay, minimum height for large ruminants is 1.5 meters, while 1.2 for small ruminants. Similar, you have the avoidance of sharp corners. Roofing, okay, a good ceiling height to promote ventilation. Okay. Roof framing shall be made of timber or galvanized steel. The roofing materials should be made of galvanized steel or other forms of corrosion-resistant sheeting. And for the watering facilities, okay, for the animals, okay, it's different for the larger ruminants. Okay, these are mandatory requirements. Okay, similar provisions for automatic waterer and hydrant points. Lighting, same, okay, 110 lux and 540 lux for isolation pens, and then you have your drainage, okay, similar as well to the swine. Fences, gates, and outside wall, okay, very much the same. And again, for records and supplies should be also provided with a uh, location. Here is a layout sample plan for for the cattle. Okay, and then there's for small ruminants as well. Right, for the drainage, and then yeah, continuation of the drainage, where you have a detachable concrete cover for the drain, and the noise, which is also important. Similar, this is just similar to the contents of the previous standard for the swine drainage. Again, this is a combined standard for swine, small and large ruminants. Let's proceed to the fruit and vegetable storage. Okay, so for fruit and vegetable storage, the objective is to preserve or to maintain the freshness of this commodities. Okay, most probably this would be high value crops. Okay, so for controlled atmosphere storage, this is in relation to environmental control engineering. This should be discussed there. Thus, this will be just included in the discussion in passing. So for bulk storage, produce is filed in room-sized bins, which exerts forces that must be resisted by building walls. Okay, pallet bin storage, produce is placed in boxes or pallet bins, which in turn are stacked in a storage room. The pallet is the materials are placed, okay? Or the boxes of these materials are placed to elevate them from the ground. Okay, and could be made of wood, plastic, or metal, or a combination thereof. This is to facilitate the movement, okay, of the products if ever there's a need for example, of a forklift. So storage structure with continuously wetted walls, that's the drip cooler. Burlap is a coarse cloth made of jute, flax, or hemp. Okay. Air cooled, paper barrier, cell pack, individual divisions in a carton formed by fiberboard dividers, each shell to contain one fruit. Okay, telescopic cartons. The location, okay, should conform to the land use plan. There should be provision for parking area. Okay. Again, so classifications of these kinds of storage is according to the method. It could be bulk or palletized, according to the environment control, drip cooling, air cooled, natural convection, forced ventilation, refrigerated, or controlled atmosphere. So this discussion will be minimal, again, but just going to be in passing because that should be in environmental control engineering. But for the structural components, okay, should be discussed in details. For bulk density and piling depth, okay, there's a mandatory provisions for potatoes, pumpkins, and squash and onions because they are just stored in bulk. So the average bulk density is as shown, and the maximum pile depth is provided for the bulk density for the specific produce. Structural requirements: the roof. Okay, roof structure shall be treated timber or steel with anti-rust paint. Roofing materials shall be made of GI sheet and other steel sheeting with corrosion-resistant coatings. Roof vents, when provided, shall be properly screened. For bulk storage, forces on the roof system should cost by wall pressure shall be considered in designing the roof structure. For the ceilings, okay, shall be at least 2.4 meters from the finished floor line for manual handling and 6 meters for mechanical handling. This is to provide space, ample space for the machinery. Ceiling shall be constructed to prevent the collection of dirt or dust that might sift through the areas above or fall down from overhead. Ceiling shall be painted with white emulsion or latex paint. The wall shall be concreted, smooth finished, and properly painted. Internal surface of the wall should be painted with white emulsion or latex paint. For pallet storage, walls shall be designed to withstand the pressure of piled fruit and vegetable. All wall tops and ledges shall slope at 45 degrees. Please do take note the coving on the floor. This is to facilitate the movement of water on the walls so that the puddling or the pooling of water on the edges is avoided. The radius of that should be 50 to 60 millimeters. Doors shall be fitted with screens, air flaps, or provided with air curtain. An air curtain is a gust of air from a machine that is providing that air gust. Okay. Width shall be at least 2.5 meters. Access doors shall be provided with checking the commodity without opening the main door. It shall be constructed with a glass panel at eye level. The width shall be 600 to 750 millimeters. Main entrances and exits shall be arranged so that the product generally moves in one direction through the facility. Okay, there's a concept of dirty to clean. The movement of people should be from clean to dirty. So people in the dirty locations should be avoid from cross-contaminating the clean areas. That is a good manufacturing practice in food production. Floors shall be concreted or tiled. It shall be designed to withstand concentrated loads. Okay. Properly enforced to prevent cracks. Floor height should be leveled with the height of the vehicle being used in transporting the commodity. Intersection with the wall shall be coved with, again, similar to with a while ago, okay, as provided in the walls. The floor slope should be 2 to 4% towards the drain to facilitate the movement of water. All other matters concerning structural design, okay, shall conform with the National Structural Code of the Philippines of buildings. Right? Storage area, drip cooling. Okay, this will be avoided, okay, because these are parts of the environmental control engineering. But for structural considerations, okay, here's the recommended installation for the refrigerated room. For ceiling, there should be a minimum R value of 5, 3.5, and 1.76. Okay. Piling system, stack should be about 80 millimeters away from outer walls and 120 meters away from the wall that is exposed to the sun. Space between the ceiling and the stack shall be 300 millimeters. Okay. These are to avoid, okay, the touching of those the products with the ceiling. Within a stack, a minimum of 10 millimeters vertical air pass shall be provided between each box, and space between stack and sides and floor shall be 150 to 200 millimeters. And the stacking height shall be up to 12 units for the cell pack and 8 units high for the scopic tray pack cartons. Actually, this would depend on the properties or the specs of the boxes or the quality of the boxes even. Sometimes this could be limited only to 7 if that's the case, or for low quality boxes. Lighting, as required, you have various numbers for the different locations. For outside the building, you have 100 lux or lumens per m squared. You have the general 200, working table, refrigerated storage room. This shall be discussed further in electrification and control systems. Okay, but the electrical design shall conform to the Philippine Electrical Code. It shall be discussed further there. Water supply and plumbing facilities. The water supply shall be ample and potable with adequate pressure and with facilities for distribution. Drainage and plumbing system for the fruit and vegetable storage shall be in accordance with the National Plumbing Code. Toilet and hand washing facilities for the people inside shall be provided. Okay. Toilets shall be located where there is avoidance of the products exposed to it. Okay, because there's a possibility of contamination. Please take note of positive airflow. Yeah, so if it opens, so the doors actually should be opening towards the toilets, or there could be an anteroom to prevent these toilets from being in contact directly with the production area. So toilet rooms must have self-closing doors to avoid handling of people of the knobs, door knobs. Adequate and convenient hand washing, if necessary, hand sanitizing facilities should be provided. Okay. Besides, okay, before the pandemic, even this is already a requirement. People should be wearing masks. Okay, inverted. Okay, with the blue side in. Okay, to avoid contamination of the products. But just to show you that, but because this is talking about the structure, so the facility should be able to provide just that, particularly for hand washing. Now, for fire extinguishing, this should be conforming to the National Building Code of the Philippines. Okay. Thermal properties of insulating materials. Okay. This should be discussed further in environmental control engineering, but just to show that this is actually the material and the R factor used in the computations. Okay. Yeah, so just annexes showing the computations, but here are the storage conditions of the different products that could be processed in a fruit and vegetable facility, and the lighting intensity. Okay, next we have here the now the processing, right? The processing of animals and crops. So let's proceed first to the slaughterhouse, which is, well, generic for swine and animals. This is still a PAES with a number 411, still to be adopted probably for the Philippine National Standard. But again, a slaughterhouse is the building where the animals are killed for its meat, right? So we have here the different operations process, from stunning to pithing, okay, sticking. Okay. Well, the stunning is to desensitize the animal prior its killing. Okay, this is to render the animal unconscious but still alive. Okay, before it is stuck or undergoes sticking. This sticking is referring to the severing of the jugular veins in the blood vessels, okay, the jugular vein, to drain the blood from the animals, and that is the process of bleeding. And then there's the scalding, or the removal of the lowering of the animal into a, or yeah, could be actually steaming, could be gas, or dipping into hot water. But this is to soften the hair, okay, of the animals, and to facilitate the removal during the hearing. And then there's gambling, okay, or which is this actually just the suspending, and then the singeing, or the burning of the carcass hair, and then you have the evisceration, or the removal of the internal organs after cutting the animal in half. And then there's the dressing, or preparation of the carcass after evisceration. And then there's the splitting of the carcass into parts, and then the carcass is actually the slaughtered animal. Okay. Offals, the internal parts of the animal. The black offals, the digestive tract, okay, still probably contains fecal matter, and which very very much contaminating to the location, if ever. And then so you have your yeah, these are the terms. Okay. So for the typical floor plan, this is shown in figure 1. This is just recommendatory. The slaughterhouses could be um, designed in a different fashion, in a different um, well, depending on the location, or depending of the configuration of the land, or the decision or the choice of the owner of the facility. Now, there are different kinds of um, classifications of slaughterhouse. There's an A slaughterhouse, a double A, and then also a triple A. And this actually depends on on the uh, the processes that are being accommodated inside the slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse with required facilities and operational procedures to serve local markets in the community, as in Figure 1, as in the processes as shown. And then you have your double A, okay, which would have um, more operations compared to the triple A, a double A, a single A. And then you have your triple A, which now has all the um, requirements, okay, to serve any market. Actually, the triple A slaughterhouses could export their products to different locations, even abroad. Okay, that's the difference between single A, double A, and triple A facilities. Now, let's go first to the different um, um, specifications and standards. Again, should be located, okay, in a land in a zone where it is required. So the site shall not be located adjacent to the public market areas. If possible, it shall be located near livestock production areas. Oftentimes, it could be 50 kilometers within the location of the livestock production areas, 50 kilometers within the zone. Okay. If located near a river, stream, or lake, the slaughterhouse shall be at least 10 meters away from the bank. This is in reference, again, probably to the land use plan of the area. Again, in the case of the Philippines, a certain municipality or city would have its own abattoir or slaughterhouse. Okay, it shall be on a higher level than its surroundings. The slope, terrain, foundation, and soil condition on the site shall be suitable for the construction of substantial and permanent buildings. The site should be located far from any building used for human habitation and from any factory, public road, or public place, and should be free from dust, odor, smoke, and other contaminants, because this is a this is a food grade facility, right? Site shall have continuous water supply and meeting the required water for operations, shall be dry and well drained, shall be suitable for the adequate disposal of solid and liquid waste, okay, adequate sources of energy, okay, electricity, in terms of electricity, okay, electrical utility installations. Transport to and from the slaughterhouse shall be accessible. The site shall be fenced. In the area immediately surrounding the slaughterhouse shall be concreted or covered with asphalt or similar material. The access road shall be similarly treated. There should be sufficient space for possible future expansion. Okay, for large animals, there's a recorded throughput, okay, the output of animals per day, 2 and 10 for small. For swine, it's 200, wait, should be 30, okay? And you have here the dimensions of the slaughterhouse, right? The minimum area. And again, depending on the type, if it's A, double A, or triple A. Foundation, okay? Site shall be elevated to at least 600 millimeters above the adjacent ground. The fill material shall be compacted thoroughly by rolling or pounding. Structural footing design shall conform with the existing national building code. Okay, for floors, base slab shall be made of concrete, which is 150 millimeters thick, reinforced with 10 millimeter rods both ways with spacing of 200 millimeters, or it shall be reinforced with equivalent welded mesh. It should be made of strong concrete topping, okay, or granulate concrete unlaced tiles. This is only recommendatory. Shall be structurally sound and resistant to cracking, chipping, and breaking, impact resistant, easy to clean, and impervious to moisture. Sometimes the floor could be um, um, rubberized to avoid the uh, the moisture going in. Okay. The minimum floor slope shall be 1 degree. Floor shall slope uniformly to the drain. Inlets with no low spots. You need to avoid ponding or pooling of water. Walls. Internal wall surfaces shall be durable, is to clean, rust resistant, and impact resistant, and protected from impact. Should be made of either concrete, okay, and similar. Again, this is just recommendatory. Both exterior and interior walls shall be smoothly finished and impervious to liquids, not readily subjected to chipping or flaking, and sealed at joints. All wall tops and ledges shall slope at 45 degrees. Take note of the coving because this is again a wet facility. And also the other requirements for the walls, right? And then the roof, okay? Structure should be made of timber, dressed, and oiled, but not painted or galvanized steel. There's a lot of moisture going up above the ceiling, so it should be included in the design. Okay. Likewise, chlorine, which is a material that is used to sanitize the area, is also very highly corrosive to metal. That's why care should be taken into consideration during the even the design and also the construction phase of the facility or the building. Okay. Okay. Lighting, right, could be accommodated via skylights. Roof vents shall be properly screened. Okay, this is as shown. Should be an exit right here, right, of air coming out. Okay, vents, ceilings shall be at least 3 meters from the floor. Should be made of aluminum roof sheet or color bonded galvanized steel sheet. The ceiling is made up of interlocking rust-resisting metal sheets such as heavy gauge, heavy-duty galvanized steel, anodized aluminum or stainless steel. It shall be fastened to a metal structure by acceptable means. Okay. If an open joist ceiling is employed, the joist shall be treated to prevent rusting and corrosion and with a minimum center spacing of 900 millimeters. If windows are necessary, it shall be screened and shall be at least 1.0 meters above the floor. Window sill shall be sloped at 45 degrees. And doors and jambs, okay, shall be at least 1.5 meters wide, shall be constructed of rust-resistant material. If made of wood, shall be covered with the same rust-resistant material and have light solder or welded seams. Doors should be either be fitted with screens, okay, just recommendatory. The door jamb shall be made up of rust-resisting material. Okay, the juncture between the wall and the door shall be effectively sealed with a flexible sealing compound. For the columns, okay, located in areas where product contact may occur, shall be constructed from or sheathed in durable, non-porous, easily washable material. Okay, drainage. Okay, there should be inlet, okay, drainage line, drainage pipes. Okay, drainage pipe shall be discharged into a sump from which the material shall be transferred to an elevated tank for dewatering. The capacity of the dewatering tank shall be based on the maximum number of animals to be slaughtered daily at 0.014 meters cubed per head. That is a standard. A drain shall be provided with a deep seal trap and rodent screens, right, to avoid pests inside the facility. Screw plugs shall be provided where water skill may evaporate in the traps. All drainage outlets shall be trapped and fitted with suitable metal grids. Grease catch basin. The grease catch basin shall be constructed near the area where meat and edible offals are handled. Okay. Okay, catch basin, sedimentation traps, because there is grease, okay, and other materials that fall off from the animals, such as the feed grits or the feces and the fecal matter, for example. Functional requirements, no? You have your pre-slaughter pen, your standing area. Okay, here are the requirements. Then you have your sticking and bleeding area, okay, to bleed the animal prior slaughter. Okay, there's a requirement for the minimum diameter of the blood drain. Okay. Again, in the Philippines, the blood is collected, okay, and still for food, treated as food. Okay, so you have a difference in the railing, okay, because it's for uh, the movement, to facilitate the movement of the animal. Okay, this is a blood tank. Okay, the boiler room. Water is provided into the scalder at a temperature that should allow the easy removal of the hair during the herring. So a boiler is required, and a boiler room shall be provided for supplying hot water with temperature of 80 degrees. Okay, that is the temperature required. It should be equipped with heating facilities. Okay, dressing area. This is now to clean the animals. I know to um, to prepare the animals as a food material. So the requirement for the elimination is 540 lux. Okay. Okay. Dressing area should be shall be following those that are provided here. Okay. Equipment sanitizing units, hand washing, drinking fountains. Okay. In the dressing of calves, sufficient space and facility should be provided for the soaking, scrubbing, and cleaning of calf carcasses. Okay. Similarly, swine scalding tank and the hearing equipment shall be separated from the rest of the dressing area. The scalding tank shall be equipped with overflow facilities. Okay. So there are a lot of parts, particularly for AAA facilities. Okay. Okay. The rail height shall conform to table 3. Minimum distance from the carcass suspension contact point to the floor. Okay. For cattle, that's 3.1 meters. Calves 2.4, sheep and goats 2.0, swine 3.1. Okay, gut room tripery. Okay, the tripe and the edible fat. Illumination is as shown. Okay, there's also a cutting and boning area. There's a storage area, and then you have your hide rooms for the animal hide and skin. Okay, for the tamed beat room. Okay, this is for inspection purposes. Okay. And then you have your condemned meat room. Okay, this should be refrigerated. Okay, and at least 2 pieces for rejected meat shall be provided. Okay, and that is as shown. Okay, cold storage. This is now to facilitate the chilling of the carcass or the meat. This will be discussed further in environmental control engineering. Okay. We should be discussing HVAC or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Manure area, okay, a room for collection of manure because the animals continuously defecate inside the facility. They should be properly sloped and coved as well. Then also impervious, easily washable and disinfectable. Okay, dispatch area, okay, to allow the dispatch of the meat into vehicles, okay, where they are now going to be distributed to the market. Okay. And the personal area should be provided. Washrooms, doors should be self-closing. Okay. Shower facilities, okay, for security. Dressing room, individual lockers, first mess room, inspector's office. This is for the office of the inspector and of the NMIS or the National Meat Inspection Service, or the deputized inspector in the local government unit. Okay. Management practices, sanitation, okay, sterilizers, remote controls, hand dips, okay, noise control. Okay. This should be minimized to remove or to avoid stress in the animals. This is as shown, okay, decibels, right, for daytime and nighttime. Pest control, and then waste disposal. All right, so these are now the typical slaughterhouse layout. And this is another one, okay, for 2 animals per day or 10 animals per day for smaller ruminants. including the different operations of the structure, in the structure. Okay, so these are now the tabularized requirements for the different class of slaughterhouse in the facilities, or the requirement in as we move from A to double A to triple A. So there are additional operations in the double A which are not in A, and the triple A which are not in double A. All right, so next we have the dressing plant. This is again for fowl. Commonly in the Philippines, this is for poultry. This is a very big industry. But there are a lot of fowl that are also dressed. So you have turkey, you also have, what else? Duck. Okay. So similar to the slaughterhouse, the only difference is more of the, because this is a smaller size, and then also you have feathers instead of hair. So there is a defeathering facility or defeathering machine. Okay, but in most cases, the process is very much the same. You stick the animal, you stun the animal, probably with a stunning machine. Okay, instead for the animals, for livestock and swine, you have a stunning gun. Here you have a stunning chamber. Okay, could be you have a water, okay, and you dip the head of the bird into the water to stun them, and then next is sticking, and then you have the bleeding, and then the feathering. Okay. Similar process, evisceration. Okay, shackling, or in the livestock, that's gambrelling. Okay, you have the same structural components, just differences in the values. Again, requirements for the coving is the same. Roof, ceilings, windows, doors, columns. Okay, they should be following the same standards. Okay, refrigeration. Okay, holding area, operating area, very much the same, because again, we're talking of the same kind of animal. So in poultry, you also have the AAA and AAA facilities, actually, but it's not provided here. Again, AAA is for export. Okay, so next is we have now the milking parlor. This is for milk production, and okay, could be for, this is for ruminants. No, this is for cattle, sheep, carabao, and even goats. Okay, so milking parlor shall be located close to the confinement to optimize animal flow. The minimum distance of the milking parlor shall be 30 meters away from the lactating barn, and the maximum distance shall not exceed 180 meters if the milking frequency is 3 times a day, and 275 meters if it is 2 times a day. The requirements are very much the same with the previous two requirements on processing, okay, for slaughter and dressing plant. So the floor, roof, and the walls are very much the same. Ceilings are also the same. Windows and the walls are the same. Doors, right? But you have here a holding area, okay, in a wash pen, and you have the requirement of 2.23 meters squared per animal. Holding area shall be provided with roof to avoid wet animals entering the parlor during the rainy season. And holding area shall be paved and rough finished, and it shall slope 2% to 4% away from the parlor. Entrance and exit alley, okay, because the animal will not be slaughtered. The animals are expected to be alive after milking, and so there's a requirement. So the milking parlor shall provide with a straight entrance to ensure a smooth and convenient operation. The width of the alley shall be 0.7 to 0.9 meters to keep the animals from turning around. And the slope of the alley shall not exceed 5%. If specific circumstances require, alleys shall be greater than 5%. Install steps with 150 millimeter rise and 460 millimeter run. The treads may be a slope no more than 1.5% to help achieve the required elevation change. For the milking area itself, okay, the type of the milking stall shall be back out or walk through. Okay, this shall be in consideration of Annex A or B. Okay, typical back out parlor and the walk through parlor. Okay, back out. So just here, so the animals stay here in the holding area and then enters the milking area and then outside. But here, holding area, okay, and then you have walk through. So the animals are going to just walk through. Let's just go back, okay, to where we left a while ago. So the milking stall shall be 1 meter to 1.1 meters wide when the bucket milking machine is used or when hand milking is practiced. If pipeline milking system is practiced, 0.7 to 0.8 meters shall be provided. Milking stall should be provided with a head strainer. Okay, this is to protect the animal. The stall length shall be at least 1.5 meters and the height shall be at least 1.2 meters. The railings of the stall shall be made of at least 50 millimeter GI pipe and shall be spaced at 0.4 meters. Okay, this is a design of a head restrainer. The space for the milker operator and milking equipment shall be 0.6 meters, okay, 0.6 to 0.8 meters wide. Okay, to to facilitate also for bigger people. Okay, milking machine storage, this is optional. Table 1 shows the number of stalls required for different size of milking herd. For 1 to 10 animals, okay, the number of milking stalls is 1. Okay, for every 10, there should be a 1. At least 1 for at least 1. Okay. Number of operators without milking machine. Okay, this increases but decreases with a milking machine. Facilities, milking machine, electrical installation. Okay, further discussed in electrification. Okay, lighting, same way. But the required blocks, okay, is provided. Holding area 100. This is just to stage the animals. The parlor itself will be general lighting for the other areas, but for the milkers operation, milking operation, just should be 500 lumens per meter squared. Take note that in very heavily detailed operations, there should be a higher lighting intensity. It could even reach to 2,000 lumens per m squared. Convenience outlet shall be waterproof type, shall be installed 1.5 to 1.5 meters high, depending on the position and height of the milking machine. Okay, this is to avoid, the height is to avoid electrocution. All electrical installation shall meet the requirement of the PEC, further discussed in electrification. Water supply, adequate supply or provision. Ventilation, okay, screen shall be used where needed to prevent product contamination. Drainage, there should be provision for adequate drainage. And waste disposal, again, similar standard is adopted. Okay, next, okay, this is going to be for primary processing of fresh fruit and vegetable, following the same structural components, okay, should be following the same from the previous three. Okay, roof, ceilings, walls, windows, even the coving of the walls, doors and jambs, and then floor. We'll talk later about the functional areas of the structure or the building. Okay, let's just first go to the terms. Okay, because this is again primary processing, so there's handling of the commodity and processed into another product, okay, which is for further processing or for easier handling. So there's grading, the process of classifying into the products. Again, this is referring to a lot of products over here, right? So you have from asparagus, other high value crops, to peas, tomato, calamansi, even lanzones, corn, and pomelo. Okay, so let's go through the different parts of the structure or the building or the facility. So there should be a receiving area to receive the products, okay, the fruit or vegetables. to receive, and then there's a temporary storage of the raw materials until it is used in the process. And there shall be a provision for unloading, okay, with minimum damage. Area shall be either a shed or properly designed room to meet the requirements in terms of temperature, humidity, cleanliness, and exposure to sunlight. In terms of temperature and humidity, this will be discussed further in environmental control, where there's a topic on psychrometry and ventilation, or the more general topic of HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Raw material storage shall not be used for the storage of other products that may be contaminating, such as pesticides, paint, or cleaning utensils. Now, onto the processing area shall be sufficient to accommodate all the necessary equipment on a continuous line. Now, the different processing, okay, if it's pickling, other processing operations, probably in wine making, this should be all considered. Okay, so there's an unloading area, there's a washing area, sorting and grading area, okay, and the trimming and peeling area, and then the packing area. Again, this is just primary processing, and then there's also the labeling. Okay, most, if not, are in the recommendatory degree, because these are all depending on the different operations of the fruit or vegetables. Okay. Inspection and quality control. Okay, this is also required. Okay, a QA should be able to determine if this is if this is or the products are passing quality requirements. Storeroom. Okay, this should be following a certain relative humidity and temperature, but again, it's beyond the requirements of the course. Equipment and utensils, okay, lighting facilities, light fixtures shall be flushed in the ceiling and shall be provided with diffuser to provide better lighting in the area. Plugs, okay, electrical wiring, following the PEC. Water supply should be adequate, clean, and potable. The capacity is enough for a production of 1 day. Tanks shall have a sloping base. Okay. Drainage, plumbing, sewage should be very much available to the production crew. Okay. Fire extinguishing, and then waste disposal. Right. So there are a lot of different operations for different commodities. Again, this is just primary processing. In the next lecture, the discussion will be on the waste management and other common processing or buildings and structures that are in support to the other operations in a farmstead. Again, all the discussion a while ago are based on the standards and specifications drafted by the AMTEC and adopted by the BAFS, sorry, the Bureau of Agricultural and Fisheries Engineering, or BAFE. And then the other standards have already been elevated to a Philippine national standard. So, well, the viewer is herein encouraged to look into these references for further readings and understanding. I'll see you in the next lecture to discuss again the other AB structures. Thank you for listening.